In a dim studio within a decaying warehouse, the sharp scent of oil paint and rust filled the space. Caitlin lived on the margins of the art world, her work unnoticed and her passion unfulfilled. Her canvases held no glory, only the muted echoes of her desire. Fate intervened in a way she never anticipated, but a careless accident turned her obscurity into notoriety. Therefore, her destiny was irrevocably altered. One evening, as she mixed pigments with a practiced hand, a shard of broken glass caught her off guard. A cut sprang upon her finger, and a bead of bright crimson slid steadily onto a blank canvas. The drop mingled with her paints in a way that defied her logic and expectation. But the mingling of blood and color unsettled her. The canvas transformed into a portrait of raw intensity and eerie beauty, commanding attention. Critics and collectors were drawn to the work as if by an unseen force. The piece exuded a mysterious magnetism that unsettled even as it captivated. But the sudden acclaim brought with it an unwelcome spotlight. Therefore, Caitlin found herself thrust into a dangerous limelight she had never sought. Each new piece built upon that unsettling foundation, a testament to a brilliance born of pain and accidental genius. In the wake of her newfound success, a silent figure appeared, a mysterious benefactor who provided a steady supply of blood to fuel her evolving artistry. His visits were brief, marked by a single silent exchange that left Caitlin both intrigued and disturbed. But his presence was a necessity for her artistic evolution. With each painting, Caitlin pushed the boundaries of her craft. Her canvases grew bolder and darker, every stroke a deliberate challenge to both convention and morality. But the blood in her art was not merely symbolic. Subtle details hinted at a more sinister origin. The pigments took on a lifelike quality, as if imbued with the essence of something beyond her own vitality. Therefore, whispers of a darker source began circulating among those who studied her work with a discerning eye. A pattern emerged in the layers of red and shadow, a cryptic narrative woven into the fabric of each canvas. Figures and vague silhouettes hinted at a hidden debt, a macabre exchange of life for art. But the source of the blood could not be traced to conventional means. Caitlin assumed the supply came from a local hospital, a sterile and clinical origin that would explain the purity of the material. But when she made inquiries, the records were empty, and the mystery deepened. As the acclaim mounted, so did the unease of those around her. The city became a backdrop of subtle dread, where whispered rumors of unsolved crimes and vanishing persons intermingled with praise for her work. But the public's fascination with her art only increased the stakes. Therefore, every brushstroke became a silent question mark. Night after night, Caitlin toiled in her studio, her focus unwavering even as doubts crept into her mind. The rhythmic drip of red on white set a relentless pace, a heartbeat pulsing with both creation and destruction. But every new painting stirred the shadows further. Therefore, the subtle signs of blood from unsolved crimes began manifesting in the details of her work. The faces in her compositions appeared too lifelike, their expressions haunted by the promise of a violent end. One painting, in particular, marked a turning point. The canvas depicted a visage contorted in agony, interwoven with abstract shapes that hinted at a hidden, sinister ritual. But the true horror lay not in the image itself, but in the realization that the blood used was not solely her own. A chilling pattern took shape. The signature of victims, lives snuffed out in the grip of darkness, became entwined with her own narrative. The painting served as a grim map, connecting her meteoric success to a series of unexplained disappearances. Haunted by this revelation, Caitlin embarked on a relentless quest to unravel the mystery behind her benefactor. She combed through sparse records, piecing together clues from subtle hints embedded in each painting. But the evidence proved elusive, a mosaic of half-truths and shifting shadows. Every new discovery only led to deeper questions, and the line between inspiration and damnation blurred into a haze of ambiguity. The trail of clues led her to a dilapidated building on the outskirts of the city, its walls scarred by decay and neglect. Every step forward tightened the noose of uncertainty around her heart. In the dim light of that forsaken place, she discovered a series of photographs pinned to a tattered board, images of missing persons, each captured in their final moments. But one photograph disturbed her more than the rest. A young face, strikingly similar to her own, caught in an expression of unspeakable terror. A terrible doubt seeped into her consciousness, and she began questioning whether her transformation had been entirely accidental. The benefactor was not a mere collector of blood. He was the architect of ritualistic crimes, harvesting life from unsuspecting victims. The blood that had transformed her art was steeped in the essence of lives taken in cold, calculated moments. The truth was brutal and inescapable, and every painting now stood as a testament to a horror both magnificent and malevolent. In the grip of despair and determination, Caitlin resolved to sever the unholy bond that had propelled her success. But the act of creation was inseparable from the darkness that had fueled it. Therefore, her inner turmoil became a battleground of conflicting desires. She set about destroying her latest canvas, a masterpiece that had elevated her reputation to dangerous heights. The flames consumed the work with a speed that mirrored her desperate hope for redemption. But as the fire died down, among the charred remnants, an inscription revealed itself. The name resonated with a dark chapter from her own past, a fragment of memory long buried. The legacy of that name cast a long shadow over every creation, intertwining her fate with a past she could neither forget nor escape. In the cold light of dawn, Caitlin stared at her reflection in a cracked mirror, the stains of her choices etched into her skin. But the weight of her newfound knowledge offered no solace, and therefore, it drove her further into the labyrinth of her own mind. The city outside continued its silent vigil, its streets marked by the same quiet despair that had become the backdrop of her journey. Every brushstroke in her future work would bear the mark of this terrible truth, a debt of blood and a price too steep to reckon. The investigation into the benefactor's past unfolded like a dark tapestry, each thread a story of loss and horror. But the more she uncovered, the less certain she became of her own role in the unfolding tragedy. The line between genius and monstrosity blurred beyond recognition, leaving her to grapple with the legacy of a life built on bloodshed.